Hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. So we're SourcingBot. Uh, so it's kind of an exciting times for us. This coming weeks, we launched our platform last week in Electronica, which is the biggest electronics conference in Europe and in the world. I was in Munich. It was really exciting and really interesting for us. And you could really, that's where we launched our beta platform, so you could go online to sourcingbot.com and kind of sign up for our private beta. So that is really exciting times, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of our story, starting with the pitch. So we are basically a marketplace for electronic components, okay? A search engine that you can, that's a sourcing engineer who is looking for the parts that he is trying to source is there to find. So, and the problem, and that exists out there, so that's not unique. The problem that we are trying to solve is really the data that you see online on other search engines, how reliable it is. And it comes, first of all, it's data that is optimized in the sense that it's slightly marketing information that Texas Instruments and Vishay, who manufacture the parts, put online. Okay, they want to optimize their marketing and market communication. That's one thing. But secondly, each one of them does a different lab measurements on the part, different lab environments that just make this data uncomparable. So you're not really able to compare the parts. And that's the problem that we found in the market, and that's the problem that we're trying to solve. So how can designers, you know, when the entire world of procurement is already online, everybody is searching online and buying online, this world still have a gap over there that is unbridgeable. And that is the gap that we are trying to find by helping the sourcing engineers find the right component for them online. So that's what we are trying to do. Really trying to help the designers, the engineers, really answer that. And we do it in a three-stage solution. You first find your desired part by searching. You then verify that the part is actually performing the way you expected it to perform. And thirdly, we help you with doing automatic simulation. So let's look at a video of our platform, and I think it's going to explain everything. And I'm going to give a little bit more basis on kind of what's going on in the background. So try to be responsive to that. Let's give it a second. Good. So it basically starts with a search, something you guys are all familiar with. We have obviously auto-suggest. You then get information from top distributors on the left. Arrow, DigiKey, if you're familiar with it. Arrow and DigiKey. We are connected to those distributors through Open API to get their information online about stock, about availability, and about pricing. Right, that's what everybody is interested in at the beginning, and that's something that's very common and that exists out there. We still can't see the video. Okay, so it's going to go faster, I hope. So yes, a search engine. We use the best searching capabilities in order to provide you that. You see the pricing, you see the availability of the parts, and where they come from. But now it gets interesting. So when you get to the part page, we kind of verify that the manufacturer value comes from the data sheets is compared with the measured value. And we also give you the deviation. And you'll be surprised that the deviation is there. Yeah. With what we then do using machine learning and prediction models, we build automatic simulation. So how this part is going to behave under different temperatures and under different values. Now, and what we do here is that we have a matching engine that compares parts according to their information and specs, but also creates those nice simulations and put them one next to each other so you could really compare. Now, so this, first of all, this process of automatic simulation is something unique. It doesn't exist out there in the market, and that's basically our USP. So this is a manual process that eventually an engineer needed to open 2 PDFs, and I guess there are engineers in the crowd who could testify for that. The information is not digitized normally, so you have to open 2 PDFs and really compare them one by one, make sure that at this frequency they are really comparable and operate the same way. And that's the process that we're trying to automate. So, okay, so kind of talking about our market. On the one hand, we have, so it's a marketplace, right? So a marketplace has a supplier and it has a client. On the supplier side, we're talking about electronic component distributors, very large corporates. We're talking about companies with market cap of $20 billion. DigiKey, Aero, Mauser. Mauser is actually a Warren Buffett company, a Berkshire Hathaway company. So just imagine the sizes of those companies. They obviously have open APIs that you can connect to and withdraw data and get the information. And for them, I think what we are providing are, first of all, better leads, right? There's a marketing funnel that everybody is using. And if we are taking the engineer a step forward, it makes the lead that we are creating for them better. So our conversion should be better. And I think it's obviously unique for them. And if before engineers were not certain about the information that's online and they would start with smaller quantities, we can now allow them to perhaps switch to larger quantities from the beginning and make purchases that are really significant, okay? And that's going to go online. On the other side, we have all sorts of different clients. And when I say clients, it really depends on the behavior. We have to understand this is a very sophisticated market, a very, how would I say, a very challenging market, a very advanced market, a lot of information, a lot of money. We're talking the entire electronic component sourcing market is over $1 trillion, okay? So it's a huge market. Very important for a startup to have a market. We are obviously looking at a smaller chunk of that. We're focusing on passive components for the consumer electronics, reduces this market to around $250 billion. And then you take another chunk, because of most of this market is around strategic contracts. So Texas Instruments and Intel has a 10-year plan where they do a floor planning for each other, associating resources with what's needed. Okay, so Texas Instruments and Intel have a very significant contract with them. That is off the table for us. And that is 80% of the business. So we're left with 20%. Quick calculation, I think, would leave us at $50 billion, which is a market, which is a very good market size for a startup. It's phenomenal. So as far as clients, we have all sorts of different. So there are many different turnkey solutions in this market. So there's the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, which are potentially, obviously, clients for us. PCB manufacturers, the guys that have those green boards and print the little chips on them. Those are the PCB manufacturers. A lot of that is still happening in Europe because it's very sophisticated technologies. They have to really, adjust to be planted in health devices or, very sophisticated consumer electronics. So a lot of it is still in Europe, where contract manufacturers, EMSs, very significant. A lot of the manufacturing world goes today to contract manufacturers and a lot of many service providers. Service providers can be from consulting companies to our competitors to local distributors, all sorts of different companies. And I think now that you learned a little bit about our model and what we do, kind of the business model that's behind it is really about how do we promote stocks so we can focus and basically sell our services if we allow the distributors to promote their stocks, give them different placement if they want to appear in the search engine. So I think the business model here is pretty clear. On the other side, and we're not there yet, our solution is entirely free, so you can sign up for it for free today and do the searches and everything. But potentially in the future, because our data is really lab measured and costs money, therefore it's worth money, so we can ask for people to pay for it. Before we get into the data part of it, let's start with the good scenario. First of all, we are lucky. We have a unique key. There's a part number. Of course, this part number is not a primary key. I mean, we did not generate it. It comes from another, but it's really helpful, right? So if you're a data scientist and you have a key that you can join on, it's very good. Yeah, it's a good way to start. And our product data set, it is large. It is millions of rows, but it's finite. Okay, it's not credit card transactions in the tens of millions that are generated on a daily basis. It's a finite data set of products that does not change that much. It changes, but not that much. And there's very logical partitioning, so we can take the data and divide it into the blocks that are going to make sense for the user, and that is very logical. It doesn't. You don't have to be a genius to do that.